Have you ever wondered why some people just get jacked naturally while other people barely look like they lift, no matter how much they work out? Building muscle is slow, but if you look the same as you did last year, what you're doing is not working. So in this video, I'm going to show you why you should stop lifting so heavy, what to do if you're not seeing results from your workouts, and a handful of lessons that I learned that helped me build my first 20 pounds of muscle naturally. To start, you need to understand how to avoid wasting your time with exercises that just beat up your joints and won't get you the muscle that you want. Lesson 1, change your workouts. I used to do all my training in 6-week blocks with new exercises every block and a deload. The problem is that just when something started to feel good, I'd lose it. Or an exercise that kind of sucked and just bothered my joints was stuck with me for weeks. And I've also tried running the same program for over a year straight, and it nearly drove me insane. Now, after working with hundreds of people over the last 8 years, I realized that people love to have a bit of variety to stay excited about their training. So here's a smarter way to adjust your program to keep making gains without feeling bored or just collecting little annoying overuse injuries. I call this pruning the branches. The branches on this tree are the exercises in your program. These top branches are absolute favorites that you're fired up to hit hard every single week, you're making progress on, and they're just chef's kiss. In the middle branches, they're all right. The branches at the bottom are the ones that just give you joint pain and discomfort, or you just straight up hate them. For me, this is dips. You're not gonna cut all the branches off every few weeks or months because getting rid of all your favorites is dumb, and it's way too risky if your overall program is working well. But when an exercise gets way down here at the bottom, you just prune it and replace it with something else. And usually that new exercise will be somewhere right in the middle. And occasionally it'll become a new favorite. And when you do this continually over time, the average quality of your workouts becomes higher and higher, and your excitement to train will be way higher too, so you get more jacked. Don't shake the Etch-a-Sketch, just prune. And if you need a workout framework to get you started, you can start with my free training plan that I linked in the description box below, and you can prune from there. Lesson 2, stop training so heavy. A few years ago during a personal training session, I told my client that I had just squatted 500 pounds. And she replied like, what? No offense, but like, I thought that was the big muscly guys who do that. Oh, ouch. But I get it. My arms were around 14 inches. I was soft all over, and I kind of didn't really look like I lifted weights. And that's because training heavy, or just progressing by adding weight all the time, is not an efficient way to build a bunch of muscle, especially if you have higher mileage joints or injuries like I did. I got to one point where I was doing a bunch of barbell bench pressing and my left shoulder was so irritated that I reached back to grab my seatbelt getting in the car one day, and the pain was just so sharp and severe, I thought I tore something. But moving to a more controlled, moderate rep range style of training instead of a powerlifting style program means you'll encounter a lot less joint discomfort. And it means you'll have muscles that people notice, like your shoulders and your biceps too. Add reps to your exercises until you exceed your rep range with a given weight. You can also add pauses when it's too difficult to go from one weight to the next, like on a bicep curl or lateral raise. And don't stress if you're using the same weight for a number of weeks with a certain exercise, it's all pushing you in the right direction. Lesson 3, training to failure. The other day I had a guy send me a video, I think it was from Jeremy Etche, all about training to failure. And is it worth it? Am I just accumulating too much fatigue? Is it even better for muscle growth in the first place? The research was showing this and that and all the studies. And honestly, I think Jeremy Etche has a fantastic channel, science-based. He's fantastic physique. He's super jacked, right? But I think it leads to a lot of viewers becoming what is called the IYI, or intellectual yet idiot, right? It's like you know everything there is to know about training and exercise and muscle angles and protein, but you're not jacked. Why? If you're so smart, why haven't you figured this out? And I think that's the difference between science-based training and evidence-based training. You gotta have the actual results to back it up, right? There's a quote I love here: acquiring knowledge is easy. The hard part is knowing what to apply it to and when. That's why all true learning is on the job. Life is lived in the arena. For me personally, I started going to failure on all my isolation work like curls, lateral raises, and machine stuff like leg extensions and machine chest press, and very, very close to failure on everything else like deadlifts and leg press, stuff where I wouldn't want it to fall on me or just my spine would come out of my body. And for me, my body completely transformed faster than it had ever changed, and I started building way more muscle way faster when I did that. And for a lot of the folks we work with too, when they start training harder, pushing their sets with more intensity and better technique, they start building muscle way faster too, and they're like, oh my God, is this what it's supposed to feel like? I get it now. And maybe it was just the brick in the bridge that was missing and I had everything else in place, but I don't know. For me, I just can't help but see that as a glaring breakthrough for my training and muscle growth journey. Try it out for yourself and see how it goes. Lesson 4, pre-workout meals. There's a lot of conversation and confusion around the pre-workout meal. Some people say that training fasted is better. Other people say you should eat a big meal before your workout so you have lots of energy and carbs. And they're both wrong. You just can't know the right answer for you without a little bit more context. So here's a little decision tree I put together. Are you dieting for fat loss? If the answer is yes, you're generally gonna be a little bit hungrier, a little bit lower in energy, and depleted of stored carbohydrates, which means you won't be able to push as hard in your workouts. In that case, having some extra calories and carbs in the few hours leading up to your training will probably make a pretty big difference in your overall performance and ability to build muscle, right? If the answer is no, you're not losing fat, it doesn't really matter as much because your body has plenty of stored carbs and you're ready to go off of yesterday's food. The next question is this a big session for you? Going into a lighter upper body day with just a couple sets across the board of biceps and push downs, I mean, you can do that hungover on a couple hours sleep, so I wouldn't sweat a pre-workout meal too much. Versus a huge lower body day, 75, 90 minutes in the gym, pouring sweat. That's where the meal definitely does make a difference. So what does this all mean for you? In general, just eat a normal meal in the 4 to 5 hours leading up to your workouts, ideally including some carbs in there, and just adjust it to more or less food, or a little closer or further, depending on how your energy levels and digestion feels. You can also play around with an intro workout drink with some carbs and some salt for really big sessions if you have the calories for it. Personally, I find that helps a lot. The closer you eat to your workout, the less overall food volume you want to have, and the faster digesting you want it to be. If it's an hour before your workout, you'll probably do a lot better with a glass of orange juice instead of the quadruple Mondo beef and bean burrito from Taco Bell. Otherwise, the front desk girl is gonna be mopping up your... Anyway, next lesson. Lesson 5. In 2006, in Australia, a 75-year-old man was reading about the cancer-fighting benefits of selenium, which is a trace mineral that your body requires. It's essential for your health. He read that taking more might help prevent prostate cancer. One day, within 30 minutes of taking the selenium, he began vomiting. He was sweating profusely, he struggled to breathe, and despite emergency treatment, he died from acute selenium poisoning. Investigators later found out that he misunderstood the instructions on the supplement label. What was meant to be a dropper-based solution, he took in the spoonful. Now, even something healthy can be deadly if it's in the wrong dose or context, right? So one-size-fits-all advice is generally not a good idea. And that is why no one can seem to give you the exact answer for how many sets you should be doing for each body part. There's so many factors to consider here, like how strong you are, how hard you push your sets, which exercise you're picking, and how often you train. But there's a wide variety of what can work, so just chill and know that even if you don't hit the nail on the head for what's optimal, you can still make amazing progress. Just start on the modest side of around 6 to 10 sets per body part per week, and then adjust it up or down from there based on how you respond. Lesson 6. Recently, we had a family member jump on board with our coaching roster. This person was a fairly active person. They've been in and out of the gym and done some sports for a bunch of years, but they'd never really just seen the muscle definition that they wanted from their workouts. So we asked her to film herself doing an exercise in the gym and send it over to us so we could audit her effort levels and her technique. At first, she was a little apprehensive about it, but eventually she decided to do it, and she was like, all right, cool, let's just see what we see. So in her first week of training, she sent over some clips of her training and just showed us what it looked like. And Jay replied back to her and was like, hey, I think you can push these sets quite a lot harder with this Bulgarian split squat you're doing, with these leg extensions, with these curls. I think we could do a lot more reps here and get a lot more out of your training. She was like, I don't know, I feel like I'm pushing pretty hard, but all right, I'll give it a go. And it makes me laugh even just thinking about it, but she really did unlock a whole new level of intensity with her training, to the degree that one set she did, she finished the set of Bulgarian split squats, she racked the bar, and she walks over to the camera and she's like, fuck you, bitch. Fuck you. I just thought it was so funny how a lot of people really don't understand just what training hard and pushing close to failure or all the way to failure actually looks and feels like. And one of the ways that you can really help yourself unlock that and grow more muscle is by just filming some of your training in the gym. Prop up your phone, video against a water bottle. Nobody's even gonna see it. Nobody's gonna care. Film your set. And if you watch that set back and at no point during the set does the bar slow down despite you giving your best effort and pushing as hard as you can, you're probably not training very close to failure. If your first rep looks exactly like your last rep, you're probably not training that close to failure. Or if you lift your butt off the bench or start swinging your hips when you're lifting close to the end of the set, well, guess what? You're not training close to failure because you're just using other muscle groups to help alleviate some of that tension during the most important part of the set. One set from every workout. Film it, watch it back. I cannot understate the importance of this if you want to go from a beginner to an intermediate or intermediate to advanced lifter. Lesson 7. Recently, I saw a clip from a sex education podcast that said, bang when you're horny. And honestly, I think that was great advice, because the sex therapist isn't like, yes, you must have sex every day at 5 p.m. with your partner in order to have a healthy sex life. For that type of thing, it's like, all right, cool, we got to ride with the wave. And you know, when we're feeling excited, we got to capitalize on that. That's the whole idea. And I think that's awesome, but it doesn't work for working out or muscle growth training. You can't just wait to feel excited to train and then be like, all right, cool, you know what, I'm ready to go today. I'm motivated, I'm feeling good. Because a lot of the time, you're not gonna feel great. Sometimes you're just gonna feel like meh, And some days you will feel excited to go and hammer the training, and cool, you can capitalize on that when it does happen, and you're lucky enough. I think the better approach here is summed up by this quote: "I only write when inspiration strikes. Fortunately, it strikes at 9 o'clock every morning." And you can take that same approach to your workouts. Schedule it in. Decide which days, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you're gonna go to the gym, and then decide what time you're gonna go. Is it before work? Is it after work? What time do you have to leave the house? You have to block that time out and protect it and build other stuff around it too. You can obviously be flexible if something comes up, you have to drive the kids somewhere, you have a flight to catch, whatever, you can be flexible, but there should be this framework in place where you know and you expect to, okay, I'll be ready for training around this time. And there's something to be said for just going at the time that it needs to be done instead of waiting to feel excited to go. Lesson 8, there are always gonna be some exercises that are just a pain in the ass for you to make progress on. For me, it was dumbbell incline curls. Last year, I was stuck doing 35-pound dumbbells for 8 to 10 reps forever. I swear it was like months and months and months. At the time, I was being coached by Jeffrey Verity Schofield, GVS. Look up his channel on YouTube if you want to build some muscle. Great channel. And he gave me a tip to help me break through that plateau that worked super well. So I want to share it with you. For the first set of your exercise for the day, you're just going to go with a heavier weight. In my case, I was stuck at 35 pounds for 8 reps. So for that first set, I went to 40 pounds. I think I got 5 or 6 reps on that bad boy, and then I went back to the 35-pound dumbbells for the remaining 2 sets. That heavier exposure gives you like a little foot in the door so you can start working with a heavier weight without having to drop all your reps too low across the board. Sure enough, my 35-pound curls set some PRs, and then eventually I moved to the 40s for all my sets. Lesson number 9. Most people who struggle to build muscle are on one end of this spectrum, from nerd to Goggins. If you push too far to one side, you miss out on a lot of the benefits the other side has to offer. Maybe you go Goggins mode with the training and you're like training super intense for hours, you're pushing super hard, but your body's falling apart and you're not really making the progress you want. Okay, how can we move you just one notch closer to the nerd side of things and get a little bit smarter approach and get more out of that effort you're putting in? Or maybe you're a total nerd when it comes to the food side of things and you're like, oh, I have to have organic this and all these supplements and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, man, you're 150 pounds at 5'9". Maybe you just need to eat enough total calories and protein for a year and gain some body weight and be a little bit more bro or Goggins with it in order to get the body you want. It's like overthinking and action. If you're all action, that kind of sucks. If you're all overthinking, that kind of sucks too. Just ask yourself, in which areas are you maybe overthinking it and being a little too nerdy or being a little bit too cavalier? Not Jeff Cavalier. And then figure out how you can move yourself just a little bit closer to the other side. Okay, I think this is lesson 11. A while back, Jay and I paid down a bunch of debt that we had. Hell yeah. When I was looking through Reddit threads about personal finance, I noticed that everyone was saying the same stuff over and over. Make an emergency fund, look through your credit card, pay down the high interest debt, make a budget. It made me realize that if everyone is saying something and giving the same basic advice, it might be worth listening to and stop trying to outsmart it and make some roundabout decision to get you there faster. When it comes to building muscle, I think that Alberto Nunez put it best. I can't remember if he said specifically 6 months or a year, but in a program I bought of his forever ago, he said, look, if you are struggling to build the muscle you want, and you haven't put in 6 months or a year of consistent, intelligent training while eating enough calories to support growth, I mean, come on, that's the basic thing. That's the emergency fund, pay down your high interest debt right there, baby. Get to a healthy body fat percentage, spend 6 months to a year eating enough total calories to support growth while training intelligently for muscle growth in the gym, of course. Lesson 12. Recently, we had a lady join our coaching pro who wants to build up her glutes and her legs because she thinks that's a cool look. And I agree. I also want big glutes and legs. She shared her training plan with us, and honestly, it was just immediately clear why she hadn't been seeing the progress she wanted. This was her lower body day. Hamstring curl, squat, leg press, leg extension, hack squat, hip thrust, hip abduction, cable kickback, all for like 3 or 4 sets. And I asked her if she ever got sore from this workout, because like, damn, that's a lot of work. And she said, no, not really. I don't really get sore. Why? Do you think I should be doing more? Lol. Bro, just do a good job of the work you have. Push hard on a handful of sets and then add later. You probably won't need to, but it's just impossible to get a really good training effect when you're overloading yourself with a ton of work that's just taking away your ability to do a good job of what you have on your plate. Call it junk volume or whatever you want, just dial things back, learn to train hard first, and then we can do more later. I see this all the time with guys too. They have 5 different bicep exercises on one day. They have all this work for their chest, and they're still not growing. It's like, dude, if your smoothie tastes like shit, the answer isn't to add more ingredients from the fridge into the smoothie. It's time to start fresh and just start with a few ingredients first. Lesson 13. I used to do an arm and shoulder focused bro day, and it never really worked for me. My arms just didn't grow the way I wanted to. I never saw the size, the vascularity that I wanted, and especially my shoulders were just really lacking. And then I saw some videos saying that arm and shoulder days were unnecessary except for, pro bodybuilders, and that made sense to me. So I decided I would give up the arm and shoulder day and just incorporate all my arm and shoulder work onto my upper body days. Fast forward to a little while later, and I realized that my arms and shoulders fell way behind my chest and my back. And I realized that it's not that a specific training setup doesn't work, like having an arm and shoulder day, it's just how I was treating it. Just because it's an arm and shoulder bro day doesn't mean you have to go in, do a bunch of random exercises and just flail through it. If you give a good, hard, and concerted, focused effort on a couple of basic arm and shoulder exercises on a full day once per week, you get stronger at those bad boys over time. Man, your arms and shoulders are just gonna grow. So for the past 2.5 years, I've been doing a bro day, arm and shoulder, and it's been working insanely well for me. And if building those muscles up is a priority for you, it might be worth including a day where you exclusively focus on adding in arm and shoulder work too. I also do arm and shoulder stuff throughout the week on other days, but to really emphasize and add a little bit more priority to them, they have their own day where they just get hammered hard while my arms are fresh. Lesson 14. A few years ago, I lost a bunch of fat, but I really did not like what I saw underneath. My abs were still just not super visible. My wrists looked scrawny and small. My neck was tiny. I just thought that I looked like, I don't know, a random skinny dude. It sucked. So I decided that I was gonna get a bigger neck, I was gonna grow my forearms, and I was gonna build up my abs. The only problem was that I just hated doing that stuff. I found it so boring. And I would always skip it because it was at the end of my workout and I just was like, no, I can't be bothered. But I found an awesome way to get it done that I highly recommend trying out. I learned this from Paris Butler, or Bald Omni Man, another great natural muscle building channel to check out. He calls it a floater exercise, where basically he's just throwing some forearm work like wrist curls or neck curls or sit-ups in throughout the workout so that while he's resting from another exercise, he's getting his ab work done, his forearm work, his neck. For me, for example, I'll be doing, let's say, chest supported dumbbell rows, and then I'll just flip over, put the plate on my forehead, and get some quick neck curls done while my back is resting. You're never gonna get bigger forearms, a thicker neck, better abs, or bigger calves if you're always skipping this stuff. So whether you float it in between exercises on your main days, or you come in on an off day at the gym to do a little bit of cardio and you squeeze it in there, it has to get done. Big caveat here is that you do not need to get bigger calves, forearms, neck, or abs. Like, you really don't have to train any muscle group you don't really care to grow. But if you're frustrated because they're not responding, just check yourself first. Lesson 15. The other day, I had a guy message me on Instagram to ask me how to know whether or not he was actually building muscle and whether his program was working. Okay, he says, I've been working out for 13 months, but not really noticing much difference. Super demotivating TBH, and at this point, I'm not even sure it's worth it for me, lol. I'm just gonna keep it 100 with you here. If it's been a year and you still look the same as you did last year, you're doing your workouts, you're eating food, and you just haven't really noticed anything changing, you're probably not building that much muscle. That's the bad news. The good news is when you do figure it out, you start pushing harder in your training, you eat to support growth, you figure out the sleep, you are gonna notice. You're not gonna have to ask whether or not it's working. You're gonna fucking know. You're gonna look back at pictures. You're gonna put on a shirt. You're gonna be like, oh my God, I can really feel it. You're gonna look back at a training video of yourself and be like, man, my arms look jacked. Some random dude at the gym is gonna come up to you and be like, dude, you're looking good. You definitely put on some muscle. I know you might see crazy transformation before after pictures and videos online and think, oh my God, well, if I'm not doing that, is this even working? But that's useless information and it doesn't pertain to you in your context with your level of advancement and your genetics and your body. So just know that if you're seeing any amount of progress, it's fucking working. You will know. You'll keep setting PRs in the gym. Your measurements will change. If you were 175 pounds last year and you look kind of soft, but now you're 175 and you look kind of jacked, obviously something changed, right? The real challenge with building muscle naturally is that it forces you to forget about the results for a little while because it goes so slowly. But the magic is that that challenges you to focus on the process and do the best job you possibly can at all the things that push you in the right direction. And if you keep your mind focused on those things, eventually you're gonna have a little bit of a holy shit moment where you're like, oh my God, whose body is this? So just keep your head down, focus on the process, and do all the same stuff that everyone talks about all the time. Eventually, it'll just become so unreasonable that you won't have the amount of muscle that you want. Man, recently I wondered if I was kind of at my genetic limit. I was like, man, have I built all the muscle I'm gonna build? Is it gonna start slowing down? And then talking to guys like Dirk Emmerich, who's coaching me right now, Jeff Schofield, who've been doing this for 10, 15 years, and they keep getting more jacked. They keep turning over new stones, figuring more stuff out, and keep developing their physique. Man, that's so inspiring to me to realize I'm just scratching the surface with all this stuff. This shit takes time. And if you finally figure out the muscle growth side of things and you start putting on the size you want, but you're wondering why you can't get lean and you want to get down to a 15% body fat or so and start seeing some more visible ab definition and more muscularity that you've worked so hard to build, make sure you watch this video next where I'll show you everything I wish I knew before I got down to 15% body fat so you can avoid all the time-consuming stupid mistakes I made.